This video will give you the permission you need to turn around your life socially. And as woo as that sounds, just hear me out. Have you ever come back from a gathering or an outing with your friends or with your friend group, and you've come home and everything was great at the hangout, okay? You laughed at people's jokes, you high-fived Bob over there, and you waved hi to Sally over there, and everything was okay, you know? It felt like you had a decent time. Maybe you went bowling, maybe you did something, right? But then you get home and something feels a little bit off. Something feels not right. And you feel a little bit quieter than normal. You feel like you're a little bit less of yourself than normal. That's a pretty normal thing to feel nowadays. Unfortunately, in today's world, it's really common. But that's not okay, because it's actually secretly eroding away at your self-worth and your belief in yourself and ultimately your confidence. And what does that lead to? You get less things out of life that you want. So this problem is more serious than you think it is. And that's why in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 signs that you're in the wrong friend group. And then if you stick around to the end, I'll share with you the brutal, hard pill that you need to swallow and the advice that you need to take if you want to fully 180 your social life. And it might not be the advice that you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. So if you're here to feel good and you don't actually want to be serious about creating change in your life, in your social groups, then click off this video, don't watch it, unsubscribe from the channel, dislike the video, never come back here. Okay? So I'm going to start with my story. I used to think that having people to sit with at lunch meant I was doing okay socially. And it's a logical deduction, okay? You're sat with people, you're not alone. Which is a lot, that's good. Not being alone is a lot better than being alone. And 100% I agree with that, okay? I would say not being alone is good, it's a start. But there's evolutionary psychology that comes into this, okay? The reason that not being alone is such a big desire, in fact, it's on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Having a tribe, belonging to a group of people. The reason it's so important to us is because of evolution. When we were hunter-gatherers, we needed other people to stick around with in order to survive and not be eaten up by wolves and tigers. But the thing is, nowadays there are no wolves and tigers to eat us up in our day-to-day lives. Like, there is not a tiger out there waiting to jump at me and eat me. That's why I'm okay being alone in this room. But nowadays, that means our social circles have a much different purpose rather than just helping us survive. The new purpose that they have is to allow us to deepen our connections and to provide us with release of chemicals such as serotonin, such as oxytocin. But we don't need to get bogged down with all those details. So I thought that it was okay, I have people with me, that's enough, right? But I was wrong. Because what would happen was that after every time I had lunch with them or I did something with them, guess what? My confidence would feel a little bit lower. I would feel a little bit worse about myself. And this happens in the little moments that you let slip through your fingers. You can't really pick them up in the moment, but then when you are later reflecting on it, that's when you realize. And it took me many years, honestly, to realize what was happening. But that's the first sign. The first sign you're in the wrong friend group is that directly after your meetup, you feel less confident about yourself. And what do I mean by those little moments that slip through your fingers? I mean when Jeanette over there says, "Your hair looks weird. Why are you recording a video with such bad hair?" Or when, I don't know, Marcus over there says, "You're such a weirdo. Why are you speaking like that?" Or, I don't know, your acne looks bad, something like that, right? These little digs, they chip away at your sense of self-worth. And the thing is, undeniably, you'll notice after every interaction with such people, guess what? You feel a little bit worse about yourself. So that is the first sign that you should catch. You are not with the right people if they make you feel worse about yourself after every time you're with them. Now, obviously, certain, a little dig there, a little teasing there is fine, right? But it's all about the intention. It's all about the energy that they project onto you. All right, continuing with my story. Once I made a YouTube channel about self-improvement, and my message was to help other people become more intelligent and become more aware of themselves in order to improve their lives at a faster rate. I think that's a pretty noble thing to do. And 90% of people agreed. Because what happened was, I posted a video, one of my friends found out about it, and then one thing led to another, and suddenly my whole school knew about it. Even my teachers knew about it. So then from there, 90% of people in my school were supportive. They were like, Yash, that's a great thing you're doing. I think you're really, it's inspiring. It's a good thing that you're trying to help people become better. But then there was a 10%, maybe 5% of people who didn't support me. They said things like, haha, look at him, he's trying to be a Sigma Alpha Chad male, trying to influence everyone, and he thinks he's that guy, he's not that guy, get a job, you're so weird for recording, stuff like that. People said things like that to me. And guess what? I realized that they weren't my friends. So that's great. They showed me their true colors. And that is sign number 2. If they take you away from your path, in that case, my path was self-improvement and delivering my message to people. If they take you away from that path, they're probably not the right people for you. Okay? Imagine there's a bucket and there's a bunch of crabs in that bucket. Now, most crabs don't think there's a life outside this bucket because they've never been outside this bucket, right? Let's imagine hypothetically. Suddenly, one crab gets curious and starts to climb up. And the crab sees that there's actually a bunch of other stuff outside of the top of this bucket. But the other crabs see this crab trying to go out. And they wonder, why is he trying to go out when there's nothing else out there? Let's bring him back down. So what do? They pinch at his legs whilst he's climbing to stop him from leaving the bucket. Other crabs, might know that there's a better life out there besides this bucket, but they can't stand the fact that this crab is actually trying to leave, and so they pull that crab back down. Because this is how it works with people. Some people are like crabs in the bucket. Some people can't stand the fact that you're chasing your dreams because they can't chase their own dreams. And so they will pull you away from your dreams and away from your path. But you must resist and you must cut these people off. Now, that's the thing. You really need to create serious change in your social life. And I mean serious, okay? Because this thing could seriously determine the trajectory of your life, okay? You could ascend, right? You could ascend in everything if you have the right people around you, or you could keep going down if you have the wrong people around you. And multiply a 1 degree difference in an angle by 10 years, that's like very far apart, okay? So take my words seriously when I tell them to you. And if you want to have a magic lamp which you can rub and then a genie comes out and you snap your fingers and instantly you have your dream thriving social circle with many different outlets of genuine connection and deep love that you can experience, then my course in the description is the closest thing you can get to that. And I am the closest thing to that genie, okay? Because I'm putting everything I know, everything I have, I'm putting all of it into this course. And right now you get a 50% off discount because it's a pre-sale. So this is the lowest price you're ever going to get it at. Click the link in the description to check it out. Shameless plug over. Let's get back onto this. So the third sign that I want to talk about is the most obvious one, which is you're not happy to see them, right? If when you're about to go and see these friends, you feel a sinking in your heart. You feel maybe that you feel scared about, what if they judge me? What if this? What if that? What if he says this? What if Marcus says something bad about my acne again? What if Sally says something about my hair again? If you get these thoughts, then it's very obvious that these are not the right people for you, because, they are literally making you feel worse about meeting them, when evolutionarily humans are supposed to feel good about connecting with other people. It is supposed to be one of the needs of human life, and you're going to feel that connection, that need for human connection. You should feel good about that. You should feel excited about it. Of course, you're going to feel a little bit nervous about being judged. That is fine. That is normal. Even I feel judged. But it's okay. It's very different feeling scared about being judged compared to literally not being happy about the fact that you have to meet these people. So cut them off. What now, okay? Now that you've realized that you might have one or more of these signs that your friend group is not the right one for you, what now? It doesn't mean you're wrong, okay? It does not mean that you as a person have anything bad with you, right? It does not mean that. What it means is that you might have outgrown these people. You might have, finally just decided that I used to be like this, they used to be like this, I've moved here, they haven't, there's too much of a gap here, this won't work anymore. Or maybe you just weren't ever meant to be in that friend group in the first place, right? And what happens when you go from a friend group where you have to shrink to stay there, versus when you find people, circles, communities that genuinely respect who you are, and you feel like you can be who you are? I know it feels unreal right now to think about that, but that is my channel's purpose. To help people like you go from having to be invisible and shrink yourself to fully just living in your own identity and having a bunch of communities where you feel respected, loved, and you feel a sense of belonging, all without having to fake who you are. And then you can have fun events, you can do cool things, and that is what life is about. It's about sharing your life with other cool people who care about you and who you can care about. That is what life is. That is the essence of life. Okay? That you can have multiple trusted friend circles where you can really have a blast without worrying about things. And if you want to fast track your progress in that, once again, shameless plug, course in the description. Otherwise, just subscribe to the channel. I will not gatekeep anything. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.